Born in shadows and raised in fear, he learned to turn pain into power. Greatness was never his gift, it was his escape. Michael Jackson's childhood was not made of glitter and music. It was built on fear, pressure, and the constant weight of perfection. In a small house in Gary, Indiana, he grew up hearing arguments through thin walls and feeling expectations far too heavy for a child. His father, Joe Jackson, ruled the house like a commander. One wrong step, one missed note, one moment of distraction could turn into hours of punishment. Michael wasn't just being trained, he was being shaped, carved, pushed into someone the world could admire. While other children played outside, Michael was locked in rehearsals. Long hours under hot lights, repeating dance steps until his feet burned. He learned early that childhood was something other kids had, not him. But something strange happened every time he stepped on stage. The pain, the fear, the strict drills, everything disappeared for a few minutes. Under the spotlight, Michael felt powerful, almost untouchable, as if the stage was the only place where he truly existed. Behind the smile the world adored was a child who carried loneliness like a second skin. A boy who learned to hide bruises behind glittering jackets and sadness behind a voice the world would never forget. The darkness of his childhood didn't break him. It turned him into a legend. At 15, Michael felt trapped inside the identity the world had built for him, the cute little frontman of the Jackson 5. But his voice was changing, his emotions were darker, and fame felt more like a cage than a blessing. While crowds screamed his name, he quietly wondered if anyone saw the real him behind the smile. Behind closed doors, Michael battled with his father's control. Joe Jackson still treated him like a child soldier, demanding perfection, ruling through fear, and dismissing any sign of independence. Michael longed for freedom, but fear had been stitched into him since childhood. The world saw talent, his family saw responsibility, and Michael felt like the rope being pulled from both ends. By age 20, Michael was tired of living in someone else's vision. He wanted his own sound, something sharper, freer, and powerful. Off the Wall became his first rebellion wrapped in rhythm. Late-night studio sessions, obsessive perfection, and a hunger to be seen as an adult artist pushed him to the edge. The boy was disappearing. A new Michael was being born. As his fame grew, so did his loneliness. Hotels became prisons, crowds became walls, and the mirror became his harshest critic. He started noticing every flaw, every mark, every insecurity. The seeds of the transformations that would define his adult life were planted in these years. The need to control the image the world saw, because he never controlled the childhood he lived. At 24, Michael stepped into the studio to create what he hoped would change his life forever, and it did. Thriller wasn't just an album. It was Michael ripping the chains off his past and rewriting his destiny. But behind the record-breaking success came an unsettling truth. The higher he climbed, the darker the shadows behind him grew. Greatness was coming, but so was the storm. Behind the spotlight, Michael Jackson fought a silent war with his own reflection. Years of pressure, childhood wounds, and the crushing weight of fame pushed him to reshape the parts of himself he could never control. His changing face wasn't vanity, it was survival, a way to escape the pain, to rewrite the identity the world never let him build. Every surgery was a whisper of loneliness and a desperate attempt to feel whole in a life lived under millions of eyes. Michael Jackson's transformation became one of the most haunting chapters of his life. As fame wrapped tighter around him, he drifted into a battle with his own reflection. No surgeries, a reshaped jawline, changing skin tone, and countless procedures meant to chase an image he could never truly reach. Whispers from the world grew louder than his own voice, pushing him toward perfection that kept slipping away. His face became a mask, iconic, fragile, and tragic. An artwork sculpted under pressure, pain, and the impossible weight of global expectation. Michael's first marriage to Lisa Marie Presley in 1994 shocked the world. She was the daughter of the King of Rock, and he was the king of pop. Their relationship was a mix of deep emotional connection and media pressure. Some believed it was a publicity move. Others saw two lonely souls trying to save each other. Michael once said she made him feel safe, something he rarely experienced in his life. His second marriage was to Debbie Rowe, a nurse who had known him for years. Their bond wasn't romantic in the traditional sense. It was built on loyalty and care. Debbie believed Michael deserved to be a father and offered to carry his children as an act of love and gratitude. Together, they had Prince and Paris, two of the most important relationships in Michael's life. Despite the chaos surrounding his life, fatherhood became Michael's anchor. He was gentle, protective, and determined to give his children the childhood he never had. He shielded them from the public eye, not out of secrecy, but out of fear that the world would hurt them the way it hurt him. His children later said he was the most loving, present parent they could imagine. Michael's private life was never truly private. Rumors, false stories, and constant tabloid attacks made it nearly impossible for him to maintain normal relationships. Both of his marriages were crushed under the weight of fame, scrutiny, and emotional scars he carried from childhood. Yet even in heartbreak, he remained gentle, soft-spoken, and hopeful for love. He changed his face to escape the pain, yet the pain followed him to the very end. After the major transformations to his face, he stepped into a new era, one where the world talked more about his appearance than his achievements. His altered look became a mask, a way to hide the wounds he carried inside. Behind the flawless skin and sculpted features was a man terrified of being judged, shaped by years of pressure, trauma, and perfectionism. Fame became a battlefield, and his face, his own identity, was caught in the crossfire. In the history era, he used his art as a weapon. The albums, the short films, the grand performances, all were messages carved from pain and defiance. He felt misunderstood by the media, hunted by tabloids, and he poured this fire into songs about injustice, loneliness, and inner war. This was the era where he stopped being just a pop star and began shaping himself as a myth, fighting to reclaim the narrative of his life. Neverland was his escape, his way of building the childhood he never had. A dreamlike kingdom of rides, animals, and music. But the brighter Neverland shined, the darker the rumors around him grew. He longed for innocence, but the world saw shadows. Outsiders couldn't understand that Neverland was not about luxury. It was a sanctuary built by a boy who grew up too fast. The accusations hit him like a storm. Courts, headlines, betrayals. His life became a spectacle. He faced trials that nearly destroyed him emotionally and physically. Though he was acquitted, the battle carved deep scars. Friends disappeared, trust evaporated, and he became more reclusive. This was the period when even the strongest believers began to fear for his mental and emotional survival. In his final years, he prepared for the This Is It concerts, a comeback meant to reclaim his crown and silence the world. Rehearsal footage showed glimpses of the old magic, precision, fire, brilliance. But behind those moments were exhaustion, frail health, and crushing pressure. He wanted perfection one last time, even if his body was breaking under the weight of it. On June 25, 2009, his body could no longer keep up with the demands placed upon it. The overdose of propofol administered by his personal physician, Conrad Murray, led to cardiac arrest. The world froze. Millions mourned as details of his final night revealed a man exhausted, overwhelmed, and desperately trying to sleep after years of pressure. His death became one of the most shocking moments in music history, an end both tragic and symbolic for someone who had spent his entire life fighting shadows. Michael Jackson's life reminds us that even the most wounded souls can create the brightest light. He turned pain into art, loneliness into rhythm, and proved that when you follow your true voice, the world will eventually listen. But in the end, Michael Jackson became a prisoner of the image he tried to perfect. Fame devoured his privacy. Expectations crushed his identity, and the masks he wore eventually swallowed the man beneath them. His story is a reminder that even legends can be destroyed by the very spotlight that made them immortal.